Well, hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe, and today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the first preseason game of 2025 for our beloved, bless you boys, in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. We fell to the Los Angeles Chargers 27-13, and these are going to be my overall thoughts on everything that happened. So, preseason is a glorified practice. It's a chance for your team to practice against another team. We always hear from the sideline reporters and all of the people covering the Saints about practices, how people do during training camp, and sometimes we have team drills and sometimes we have scrimmages against ourselves. And all of this is great. We get the reporting, but we're not going to know anything until we see it. And the first time you get to see it is in a preseason game. But it's not a real game. And this coaching staff, specifically for this one example, doesn't care that it's a game. They don't care to try to run the ball when it's close or, just get points on the board before half or go for the win at the end. None of this. There's no game planning. This is just practice. You don't have your best players out there trying to make a play to win a game. So we're just evaluating certain players. And as vanilla as the Saints are on offense and defense, I'm sure the other teams will be vanilla as well. I've seen some film breakdowns of the game, and the Chargers were doing a little more than vanilla, but the Chargers defense looks pretty sound as far as where they were in position and how they were coached. It seems like they're pretty solid defense, despite the fact that it was all backups. We had all backups out there too, so I don't really think about it that way. If I would, it would drive me crazy, because you would think that a guy like Mason Tipton could get open more than just once. So everybody wants to applaud him for a great game. He had one catch. It was great. Granted, it was a great route and resulted in a 54-yard touchdown. Great. He almost dropped it, but it happened. One catch, 54 yards, a touchdown. Great. What did he do the rest of the game? Didn't get open. And if he did get open, the quarterback wasn't delivering the ball to him fast enough. Yeah. So, it's a practice. And you step up in practice, score a 54-yard touchdown, that's great. I'm not ready to crown you or give you a roster spot yet. Cedric Wilson, on the other hand, had what, three or four catches. It seemed like he was making some plays happen on a consistent basis. Mason Tipton needs two, three, four catches before I'm going to pat him on the back. And Cedric Wilson hadn't really done anything in practice and didn't do anything for us really last year. So the only reason why I'm complimenting him and catching three or four balls is because he never really did it in a game before. So yeah, there's some highs, there's some lows. I'll talk about the players that I thought did good, and I'll talk about how I feel about this preseason situation. I mean, we're so deflated as fans when we get so hyped up to finally see our team, and it's just a bunch of players that aren't going to be on our team in the end out there trying to make it in the NFL against somebody else's backups. It's just overall frustrating because we want to see good results. We want to have something to be excited about. So, what was there to be excited about? I want to keep talking about just the structure of this preseason game and the coaching in general. Like, we're not going to see Kellen Moore and what he wants to do on offense. We're not going to see how good of a play caller he is in a preseason scenario. We're not going to see that from Brandon Staley either. I mean, There'll be some chess when it's the real games going on, and hopefully our moves are good enough. Because this team, this particular Saints roster, is going to need really good coaching in order to succeed. They're not, we already know this. The nation thinks we're the worst team in the league. But we know deep down as Saints fans that we're just not going to walk out there completely healthy, our 53 players, and just play some smash mouth vanilla football and beat every team we play. It's not going to happen. We're talent deficient when it comes to depth at so many positions. And, we're injury prone when it comes to the starters. So we're never going to roll out 22 healthy starters and see what we have. If we do, great. I think we're probably somewhere in that two-third range, middle of the pack to, bottom of the two-third range. I don't think we're one of the worst teams in the league. If we stay completely healthy, I think we can win a lot of the games on the schedule this year if we stay healthy. But I'm going to feel a lot more confident about our chances when the coaches are able to put us in the position to succeed. And we're going to need that. With young quarterbacks, we're going to need the help of everything, the coaching, the running game, good defense, take advantage whenever the other team muffs a punt, take advantage of it. When you start a drive with 17 yards to go, take advantage of it. If that was a real game, we would have kicked a field goal and I had some points on the board. But, we're not going to see what Kellen Moore can do for this offense and really what Brandon Staley can do for the defense until we're playing real games and our moves matter. And then you'll have the best players out there, and so you'll have an advantage. So, of course, we don't worry about the result. We just worry about what the team looks like. Well, the team looked to a degree undisciplined when it came to the penalties. You get the kinks out now while you can. It's still early in the process. And because of Kellen Moore's strategy in the offseason, there was a lot of detail in OTAs and minicamp about play installation and getting the scheme under your belt. And we were also told a focus on technique. Now, that technique didn't show up when Cesar Ruiz was getting his tail kicked in the first quarter of this preseason game. That technique didn't show up. I don't have a warm feeling inside for our new offensive line coaches when Cesar Ruiz, who's been in the league long enough, is going out there and making technical issues. I mean, looking bad. Trevor Penning, I expect Trevor Penning to do that in a new position when he's not as talented as Cesar Ruiz. Trevor Penning has the potential to be way better than Cesar Ruiz, but Cesar Ruiz is probably a better guard right out of the gate than Trevor Penning. We have to see Trevor Penning do it. Trevor Penning had a penalty and probably struggled. I didn't focus on Penning when the plays that I saw. The tackles look good, but the interior was struggling. Not at center though. Torricelli Simpkins, undrafted rookie who was expected to play guard and I thought was going to highlight at tackle too. They put him at center. He had to come in the game right away because Will Clapp, who started, gets hurt on the second play. It seems like that injury to Will Clapp is going to be serious, a foot injury, and he's probably going to be out for a while. So another thing about this preseason structure that Kellen Moore decided to go with, right now in training camp, he's toying with putting offensive linemen in different positions. He wants to create the depth that way. He wants to see what we have and who's versatile enough to play in another position. And so we get to see this experiment in preseason games because up until I think last week, Dylan Reduns was playing backup guard and that was it. Then he started to get a few reps at tackle because we want to see, who's flexible. But then you go into a preseason game, and no, that's the position we're going to play Redunds. He's going to play right tackle, and then he's going to play left tackle. And he hadn't been doing that all off season. He's been at guard. We just signed Shane Lemieux, and I think Shane Lemieux's been at right guard the whole time we've had him since we've re-signed him, and he played right guard in the preseason game. Well, Shane Lemieux was our starting center for a couple of games last year. So in a real game situation, if Will Clapp is your number two center and he goes, if Eric McCoy's not playing and then Clapp goes down right away, you probably put in Lemieux since he has all that experience at center. But no, this isn't a real game situation for the Saints. It's a practice. And we're trying to see if Dylan Redunds is any good at tackle. We found out through one game he's not very good at tackle. And we found out, and I've been telling you guys. Everyone says our offensive line has to step it up. It's too much invested in the offensive line. And when Kellen Moore signed, he was very excited, talking about all of the high resources we've spent on the lines, defensive line and offensive line. And when he said it, everyone thought, well, it's because we have all of these high draft picks at offensive line, the players that already exist. No, what Kellen Moore was saying was, I'm glad you want to spend high draft picks on offensive line because we're going to have to keep doing it. We're going to have to do it over and over again until we get it right. This offensive line is 4 first rounders and a second rounder. But Trevor Penning and Cesar Ruiz, 2 of those first rounders, they're not they're not good enough. I think we can get better at those positions. We're going to have to get better at those positions. Cesar Ruiz looked like garbage. Shane Lemieux went out there fine. I'm used to him playing left guard or center, and he's playing right guard fine. We're trying to get some flexibility here. I don't know who plays center, but this is practice, and I'm glad we did it because Torricelli Simpkins surprised me big time. He goes in at center, a position he really didn't practice all off season, and looks pretty good. He's a really big guy, strong guy, and yeah, I think there's a place on this roster for Simpkins. Now, I don't know how severe Will Clapp's injury is. He's the backup center. Like I said, I have faith in Shane Lemieux to go in there if Eric McCoy can't. But now I have faith in Simpkins too. But maybe in a real game situation, instead of Simpkins at center and Lemieux at guard, you would actually put Lemieux at center and Simpkins at guard. And that might be the way it is on the depth chart for an actual real game. And Dylan Redunds playing guard, not tackle, guard. I think we learned through this game at least we need better depth at tackle than Dylan Redunds. So Landon Young is dealing with an injury. We didn't get to see him play, and I'm sure even though he would be the tackle that goes in if somebody gets hurt, we would have probably played him at guard, and we'll probably play him at guard through the preseason. He might go from left tackle to right tackle to left guard to right guard in the span of one game if he is healthy. It's just the way I feel like Kellen Moore wants to, as a head coach, wants to go about these preseason games. They are just practices. We are getting to watch a practice, and they get to practice against another team, which I love because I hate hearing how the offense did great one day against our defense or how our defense did great against our offense. It always has the exact opposite effect on me. Offense did great today. Huh? Sounds like the defense struggled. Defense looked great today. Sounds like the offense ain't no good. So I like seeing them go against other competition. Chargers are good competition. And yeah, we were humbled. We looked undisciplined with the penalties, the pre-snap penalties, lining up in the wrong spot, special teams when the one guy didn't get out there fast enough and then he lined up over the center, stuff like that. Those are the mistakes you need to make now and get them figured out. So in the off season, before training camp, when we were focusing on technique and installation and everything else, maybe we didn't focus enough on game situation technicalities. We've had an semblance of a referee crew at every practice. The NFL allots NFL referees for only a certain amount, and then the Saints have reached out to local people who referee high school games or whatever, and they're participating in the training camp and the practices. So, they may not be NFL referees, but we have men in stripes. And from what I've been hearing from a lot of the reports, there's been a lot of penalties. So I hope that doesn't continue. Yeah, those are my views. It's frustrating when you finally get to see your team and then you have to watch this practice stuff. We're not trying to win the game. We're not trying to balance running game and passing game. We're running vanilla plays. Defense is running vanilla plays, and we're trying to see who's going to step up and make a play. And I think this team needs coaching. They need to set the other team up in one way so we can hit them the other way. Otherwise, these guys are not going to get open. One on one, Cedric Wilson's not going to beat another team's number 3 cornerback. It doesn't feel like it. He caught 3, 4 balls this game, fine. He catch 3 or 4 balls in every game, it'll make a difference. It'll be a really good season. But Dante Pettis, Kevin Austin, I'm just not seeing it. Mason Tipton. So uh, apparently the Saints got rid of a wide receiver at halftime during the game. I don't know if we cut him or waived him. It was, I think, a waive with an injury designation or something. And it was first reported that it was Chris Tyree. He was injured, and so we decided just to waive him in the middle of the game. I mean, that was reported by Nick Underhill. And then Jeff Nowak yesterday in a podcast said that it was Moochie Davis or Moochie Dixon that we got rid of. I had to look it up again. The report I read was it was Chris Tyree, so maybe Jeff Nowak was mistaken, but I can't even effectively show the roster right now. I know there's going to be a move in the next couple of days because we have a free roster spot now getting rid of a wide receiver and we need help. Bub Means got hurt. It might be significant. I don't see a lot of the wide receivers at the bottom of the depth chart stepping up, and we're going to need somebody because I don't expect Chris Olave or Rashid Shaheed to stay healthy for an entire season. You got Brandon Cooks, and then after that, you're talking about Cedric Wilson or Bub Means, who's gone now. And everybody loves Mason Tipton. Well, he was out there and he only had 1 catch. So I'm a little worried about the depth at wide receiver. Very worried about the depth at offensive line. Running back, well, like I said, we need Kellen Moore to do some magic. And we need a completely healthy offensive line, and we need to have a strategy in place. Otherwise, it seems like the running game ain't going to get going. I don't know if the Chargers are just really good against the run or not, but yeah, we didn't look very good running the ball. And the tight end situation, of course. I mean, at least Jawan Johnson was able to be out there and played it this first preseason game. At least he was healthy enough to play. So I guess the groin injuries, no more a concern. But without Foster Moreau or Taysom Hill, Michael Jacobson didn't get involved. Trayton Welch looked pretty good. Looked good on special teams, recovering the muff, and then had a couple of catches, at least one in the game. So, I mean, you're talking about practice squad guys, and we're going to expect them to start. I mean, Jawan Johnson, I hope he stays healthy because what I saw from Jack Stahl and Michael Jacobson, not too inspiring right now. What did I see out of the quarterbacks? I'm burying the lead here. I think both quarterbacks were fine. I had low expectations, and I already know a lot about Spencer Rattler from the time he played last year. So I thought Rattler looked better than he did last year. I thought he looked better. I thought he made decisions quicker, and I thought his accuracy was better. Now, I think his accuracy is just iffy, and there were a few passes that were off the mark a little in this past game. But overall, he looked better to me. He looked like a player in his second year, and he's made some strides. I don't know if he'll ever be a great player as far as accuracy goes. But towards the second half of his time playing this game, his first couple of drives, he looked pretty decisive and it looked all right. But as the his time went on, he started to make decisions that were weird. There were some open receivers that he didn't throw to, that he should have thrown to. I don't think the pressure was getting to him any more than it already was. He just handled it better, and as his possessions went on, he just got worse. There was one play when he ran, and he had two players open. The way the play was designed, and he has the arm to get it there. He had two players open, and he decided to run with the ball. I don't know. And then, of course, the strip sack. That happens to him a lot. I don't know if it's an issue of him sensing pressure or, obviously holding on to the ball when he's in the pocket. And he can get out, he can move around. So overall, I think Spencer Rattler was fine. He looked better to me than he did last year. I saw some improvements, but I also saw some things that bothered me. How, you can look really, really good and then look indecisive and really bad. And then, not to mention fumbling the ball and the lack of points, not scoring at all. So, like I said, a regular season game, we're kicking a field goal there. So, but yeah, Spencer Rattler needs to show a little more in the red zone and he needs to hold on to that ball. But otherwise, I'm fine with Rattler's performance. Then Tyler Shuck came in, and I thought Shuck looked fine. There's a process. He's looking at each progression the way he's supposed to. He's got size. He's got really good escapability from people getting their hands on him in the pocket. He's a big guy, so I'm pretty sure that his pocket awareness will be better than Spencer Rattler's. I think Rattler probably has a edge when it comes to escapability in the pocket, but if Shuck sees the pressure early enough, he can avoid it too. And he seems to recognize pressure. He did in this game. He was sacked. All the quarterbacks were sacked. But I thought Shuck looked pretty good. Way better than I thought he was going to. So I expected I wanted Spencer Rattler to look a little better, and he did from last year. He looked a little better. I just wish we could have produced some points. But Shuck, I expected him to go out there and just struggle the whole time. The one bad pass he had, that interception, I heard Shuck say, if the coverage looks like that, he'll throw that pass 9 out of 10 times. Well, he needed to throw it about a second earlier than he did for it to work. The cornerback made a good play and he was sitting on the route. And yeah, I've heard people say if it was a different player out there, they would have to respect the speed of Shaheed or Olave. They would have been playing maybe a yard or two deeper. They would have been maybe a second later and committing to the short route, and then your pass is completed that way. But I got to put it on Shuck. He wanted to go there the whole time, and he took about a half second longer than he needed to throw the ball, a second longer than he needed to. If he knew he was going there, he should have thrown that ball as soon as his back foot planted. And he did. The cornerback made a good play, and it was a pick six. He's not a bad quarterback for that. He's just got things to work on, and it's his anticipation and timing, which looks fine a lot of the times, but then sometimes it shows up. So he was about, in my opinion, a half second late on that touchdown pass. And I thought he kind of underthrew it a little bit. I thought it should have been a little further, but I'm looking for perfection here after 15 years of Drew Brees. That's not going to happen. Not from Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck to me looks like Jared Goff. And if Tyler Shuck ends up being the kind of player Jared Goff is, then we've got ourselves a decent quarterback. But Tyler Shuck, like Jared Goff, is going to need the offensive line to protect, and he's going to need his receivers to get open. You give Tyler Shuck time in the pocket, I think he'll tear you up. So, but you give any quarterback time in the pocket, and it'll happen. Is any quarterback going to get time in the pocket with this offensive line? I don't know. I'm happy with the tackles. I like what I saw from Simpkins. Eric McCoy is an all pro, so my issue is the guard position. Next year, when we're needing a quarterback and a wide receiver and an edge rusher, we're going to end up drafting a guard because we need offensive line help. Always, always. You get all five of them out there. Let's see what happens. Maybe if Eric McCoy would have started the game, we could have got the running game going. I don't know what to tell you about all that. That's the coaches aren't going to call a game. They're not going to use all their plays and reveal their strategies right now. We're just watching glorified practice. And the offense overall was just average. Nothing spectacular. But the quarterback play was fine. The running back play, yeah. Like I said, offensive line, we have to do some play calling. All of it's got to work together. And I didn't like what I saw from most of the players there. Kendre Miller has ability. He's our number two, as long as he stays healthy. And Velus Jones Jr. looks really good because if you can have a player like that who can excel at special teams and who can help you out in the passing game, um, and have that kind of speed as a running back, then yeah, to me, Velus Jones Jr. makes an exceptional number three back for a team. So I would like to see Velus Jones Jr. involved in pass protection in the next game or two to make sure that he has that part of his game down. Because I worry about Kendre Miller and I worry about Velus Jones Jr. or Cam Akers, when it comes to pass protection. Clyde Edwards-Helaire does a pretty good job, despite his size, of pass pro. And on the touchdown pass, he did an exceptional job picking up the blitzing free player and giving Shuck the time to throw the pass. So, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not running the ball as good as I may expect Velus Jones to do. So, yeah, I want to see if Jones can pass protect, and I want to see if Clyde Edwards-Helaire can get anything going running the ball, especially with some healthy offensive linemen. Um on defense, I think the defense was fine. I really liked everything I saw from the defense, except for the defensive line when it came to the running game versus the running game. And that includes running backs running the ball and quarterbacks running the ball. The defense has to be able to stop both of them. When you game plan and you got a guy like Trey Lance as the quarterback, then you put in plays where maybe our edge rushers are a little more keen to stopping the threat of a running quarterback. So maybe that improves in a real game situation. But yeah, as far as stopping the run, either way, running back, running game, or quarterback running the ball, we didn't look good. Again, now Devin Godchild didn't play, and Godchild is the one that's going to do the run stopping for us and free up everybody else to do their job. So, it's not just coaching, it's the players there too. Christian Boyd got a lot of playing time. He had a great play on the sack. But yeah, nobody looked good against the run. But the linebackers and the DBs look great. And they look great from top to bottom. The only time the DBs gave up a big play was late in the game when, Price was out there and who's the other guy? I got the roster right here. Beanham. Beanham and Price were your cornerbacks at the time, and Davison was one of the safeties. So yeah, these are the guys that aren't expected to make the team. That was the only time our DBs looked bad. Throughout the first three quarters, we were stuffing them. Isaac Yiadom looked great. Kool-Aid looked great. Even and all of our safeties looked great. Sanker looked great. Even Davison, the guy that's last in the depth chart, looked really good toward the end of the game. So I'm positive about the DBs. We didn't see our starting safeties, so I have to look here. We didn't see Blackman and we didn't see Reed. We saw a lot of Howden and Burgess and Amadi played and Sanker. Sanker looked good. Amadi looked great. I think Amadi is better than Burgess, and I think Amadi needs to stay on this team. But I'm pretty excited that Isaac Yiadom kept passes going his way, and when they did throw one at him, you know, he blocked it, defended it. He was a pass defense king when he was with the Saints before. Was one of the league's best in the half season he played for the Saints. So I'm excited about Isaac Yiadom looking so good. The DBs in general, and in the linebackers, they from top to bottom they did great. I don't. There's not one linebacker that didn't look great, and I'm not talking about edge rusher. I'm talking about linebacker. So I'm talking about Danny Stutzman, Nefi Sewell, DeMarco Jackson, Jalen Ford, Isaiah Stallbird. All of those linebackers had plays. Sewell was out there early. He was active. Stutzman was out there early with the green dot on the helmet, and Stutzman looked great, even in coverage. DeMarco Jackson was out there early, and he looked good. And Sewell and Jackson are very good special teamers. Jackson was out there longer than Sewell. But your last two linebackers, Ford and Stallbird, when they went out there and got their chance to play, they looked great. They were all over the place. Probably the defensive players of the game. Jalen Ford, Isaiah Stallbird. So the edge rushers, we didn't see Chase Young, Carl Granderson, or Cameron Jordan. Isaiah Foskey was out there for a long time and got zero stats. Par for the course. If we want to make a roster spot and pick up some additional depth, let's just cut Foskey now. Because seventh round pick Fadil Diggs had a great game, better than Foskey. Matter of fact, Diggs had to come from the other side of the field to clean up Foskey's mess a time or two. And Chris Rump looked like, a guy, like I said, a veteran that can come in and play and be productive. Chris Rump looked really good. I didn't see any stats about Josheen Davis, and I was high on him coming into the game. I haven't heard anything whether he was dealing with an injury or whether he was out there and just wasn't productive. I know Powell got some play at edge rusher and didn't do much, but Fadil Diggs and Chris Rump were the stars of the edge rushing class, and Foskey was a big bust once again. Allowed the quarterback to get around him, allowed the running back to get outside him. You're an outside linebacker. Come on, Foskey. So not so high on the edge rushers, not so high on the defensive line. Like I said, Chris Rump and Fadil Diggs. We're only looking for one other player. We've got Jordan, we've got Young, we've got Granderson. So Chris Rump looks like he's ready for that job. Fadil Diggs looks really good. So that's going to be your fourth edge rusher, your fifth edge rusher. I think we're looking fine. Don't need Foskey. We don't need Josheen Davis. If Chris Rump and Fadil Diggs want to get it done. I said Diggs needed to do something. I think he did quite a bit in this game. And then special teams. The return game looked great. Velus Jones Jr. looked good. Peoples Jones was all right. Kendre Miller had a really big return. I don't even think we saw Dante Pettis. Maybe we did see him return something. And in the kicking game, a groupie was perfect on his kick. And then Charlie Smith goes out there and nails a 50-yarder. Looked like it had been good from 70 yards. And in the punting, who got rid of Hayball, so we had Kai Kroger and Burnip, and it looked like Kroger won that battle. None of them were horrible, but just average punting. I think Burnip had the slight edge. So yeah, and our special teams coverage was good. Our returns were good. So yeah, that's it. That's what I got to say about the game. I think the quarterbacks did fine. I don't think the quarterback play is going to be the weak link in this on this team. I think the weak link is the offensive line and the depth at wide receiver. If we can avoid injuries, then tight end is still going to be an issue until we get Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill back. Tight end's going to be an issue. So I thought the offense was going to finish in the top 16, maybe even the top 10. That's not going to happen until Kellen Moore is able to weave his magic, which he cannot do in this practice scenario. He's not even trying to win a game. He just wants to see what these players can do. Down to guards playing tackles, centers playing guards. Yeah, no feeding off the running game and the passing game, no balance, no setting the defense up. And then on defense, I think we looked pretty good as a unit. Uh, on all levels except for that defensive line when it came to the running game. So, and the edge rushers when it came to stopping mobile quarterbacks. And like I said, that's going to take coaching in a real game situation before we figure that out too. So overall, I was impressed. I was impressed because I didn't expect the quarterbacks to do as good as they did. And I certainly didn't expect our defensive backfield to do as good as they did. And yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rose and Built In if you like to hear about the Saints. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?